EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Michael Hudson, coming at you from Seattle, Washington. And thanks for joining us tonight for another action-packed episode. But before anything else, as always, let's see who is on our panel today. So first and foremost, from Washington, D.C., we have the one and only Ken Cruz. What's going on, man?
Yo, how's it going, sir? Got a comment on the beautiful turtleneck. Rocking it well, sir.
Oh, you just it's a special night. Just gotta look good. Gotta look good for everybody. Next, from New York, his very first time joining us on our show. We're throwing him into the wolves. Welcome to the jungle, PJ Hughes from New York.
What's up, everyone? Thank you again for having me. Glad to be here. Can't wait to get into sports. Can't wait.
I love it. I love that Miami Heat LeBron James poster in the background.
It's actually D Wade.
Oh, is it D Wade? Oh, my bad. I thought I saw like a thing there. But awesome poster nevertheless. And finally, rejoining us from a little bit of an absence, but he's one of the core guys from our squad. From Alexandria, Virginia, we have EJ Gonzalez. What's going on, EJ?
What's up, Mike? Man, I miss you guys. And welcome, PJ, to the show. I'm excited tonight, man. We're going to have some good takes, new guys. And I get to, yeah, man, I can't wait, bro. Let's do it.
Let's rock and roll, baby. So once again, thank you for joining us, everybody. And as always, we're just a group of friends who love talking about sports. But before we go into our main discussions for today, let's start off with some news updates from around the world. So first, we have some soccer news. Our LA bureau was there to cover the U.S. national team as they went up against Bosnia. And forgive me if I butcher this, Herzegovina. It's some country in Croatia. But anyways, here's the story.
2026 World Cup, we're coming.
Hey, come see us.
Home nation.
Hey, come see us. This is going to be a show.
We love Bosnia. You are our pride and joy.
We're coming. We're coming for that #1 spot, so keep us.
And we swept Mexico. 3 in a row against Mexico.
Hey, 2-0. 2-0. 2-0.
Hey, Kola skače mrzi Bosnu. Hey, hey. Kola skače mrzi Bosnu. Hey. Kola skače mrzi Bosnu. Hey.
The U.S. men's national team looks to close out the year with one more victory in a friendlies match against Bosnia and Herzegovina.
And they get the job done, scoring a goal in the 89th minute.
The play that led to the only goal of the game started with a cross from Reynolds from the corner of the box. After short back-and-forth passing between Gomez and Zardes, Gomez attempted a shot from the top of the box but was denied by a two-handed deflection from the goalie. Fortunately, it was Cole Bassett who capitalized on the opportunity, rushing in near the top of the goal box to quickly tap the ball in for the score and the win.
You know, I like to write my goals down, and right before this camp, I actually wrote down on a piece of paper. I left it on my bed, so right when I get home, you know, I see it. And first thing was make my debut. Second thing was score a goal. And for me, it's pretty special that actually those things came true.
How many times have we won a game this season, 85th minute or later? It's been pretty awesome, and that's been a characteristic of this team, just to never give up and just to be relentless and just keep going and keep trying new ideas and applying our principles of play into the games. And eventually we've been able to wear teams down with our fitness and athleticism, and being rock solid at the back is helpful as well.
So I think that, part of it is just explaining to the guys what we're trying to do, what our vision is and what we're here for. And then the understanding that all this group is a point on the timeline of the USMNT. It's a very special heritage. To be part of this is very special, and to really embrace that. And when the guys had the opportunity, to be able to get the win today, to have the record for wins in a year, they embraced it. And it wasn't pretty, but you saw the grit and determination that they needed, and we pulled through.
Fans give their reactions about the day's game and share their outlook for soccer in 2022.
I'm all about soccer. I grew up playing soccer. It's not all about just kicking the ball up. When you're a defender, it's not all about just kicking it up. It's all about making plays, making strategies. If you look at Pep Guardiola, look at Barcelona. They would play from the back and build up.
It's always great coming out, watching the team play, but, I think that
you know, it's good to see some young, hungry players going out. The whole lot to prove. You know, getting ready to find some new players. I think my only problem is I think that, you know, we got the weapons, but, you know, you can have a ton of paintbrushes, a ton of different colors, but you need a good artist to paint it together.
I'm a fan of Team USA after watching today's game. Enjoyed the great win. Late winner, but it was a very enjoyable game. It's my first USA game that I've seen live, so it was definitely an experience.
Soccer means everything. We were on our feet the entire game.
It's our life.
That's what we live for.
Football is life.
It gives you goosebumps thinking about it.
Like, if the game was in Japan, we go to Japan and watch the game. You know, it doesn't matter, wherever. We're there to support. We're proud. It's the pride. It'll take us anywhere.
In today's match, I think the boys, USA played pretty, I guess, tentative at the beginning. It was like a very, not a lot of action in the first half. And then I think towards the end, they felt like they really needed that goal, that last goal. So they made some things happen. I think our defensive end was very strong, but not a lot of playmaking going on. So in the 89th minute, I think they kind of just had that motivation that they needed. And then a lot of the young guys have never played before for USA. This is a friendly and it's not a World Cup qualifying match, and so this was an opportunity for a lot of the young guys who never get to play to get an opportunity, and so those guys were hungry. And so, you know, congrats to number 11 who scored that goal.
USA, let's go!
USA, let's go. Yeah, some very hungry young gentlemen looking to score, looking to make their mark so they can maybe get included in the World Cup qualifiers.
Well, definitely the game today was not our craziest result, but it was definitely for an improvement and for the domestic-based players. And for sure, I'm very happy to see a lot of these names come in for the first time to make their debut.
We had a lot of young guys out there, a lot of new guys, haven't played before, but we're happy to see them play. We're proud of our country, you know. We'll travel from wherever the game is. My brother, good game, brother. You see, it's all love. It's all love. It's all love. Wherever they're playing, we'll travel from all over the country to see them play.
You know, it was a very difficult year for many of us. You know, I'm still in that quarantine kind of thing, but I'm very happy to say that we got through it. In new year, new everything, and here comes to the qualifiers coming in 2022.
Soccer fans are very passionate about their teams.
But regardless of which side you're rooting for, the folks we spoke with all agree that they hope next year will be even better and brighter.
In Carson, California, Evan Allen, EBC Sports International, we live in interesting times.
Thanks, Alan and Eva. Really do appreciate that story. So lastly, we have a story concerning the Tampa Bay Bucks, as both starting wide receiver Chris Godwin and running back Leonard Fournette were both placed on the injured reserve. So that means that Godwin, his season ends after sustaining a low hit from New Orleans Saints defensive back last Sunday night, tearing his ACL, which is one of the main ligaments in your knee. He had previously signed a one-year deal worth $18 million. So this injury may hinder any large contracts for Godwin, who has been having an incredible season. On the other hand, Fournette may be able to come back once the playoffs start. He was also injured in that same New Orleans game, leaving midway through the third quarter. We're definitely going to tackle the details of the story later in the show, but first, we're going to talk LeBron James. But before we get to that, we're going to take a quick break. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
Happy New Year! Salubungin natin ang bagong taon na happy at may ngiti sa ating mga labi. Let's meet our special guests from the International Ventriloquist Society of the Philippines. Sino sa mga naging presidente ng Pilipinas ang kaapelyido ni Diana Zubiri? Agad-agad. Ali, ikaw ang sasagot.
Sana ngali. Sana ngali.
Siya nga pala si Jano the Puppet.
Ano?
Jano, Joho. Jano, Joho. Ano ba yung Joho? Ang Joho ng kilikili mo. At ito ang Karagay. Karagay.
Pera o chika!
Hindi ako makakatulog pag di ko nalaman kung ano yung chika. May isang aktor. Tapos...
Sulap! Sulap!
ang iyong pinakabagong gag show.
Dito sa Net25.
Walang iba kundi ang
Piso TV!
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson. So in a recent interview with former NBA guard and recent Dancing with the Stars champion, Iman Shumpert, he stated that a lot of the blame of all of these creation of NBA super teams should be shifted away from current Brooklyn Nets star Kevin Durant, who before joined forces with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green with the Golden State Warriors a few years ago, which caused a lot of commotion throughout the world. But instead, the blame should be placed on the shoulders of LeBron James, who back in 2011 joined forces with D Wade and Chris Bosh with the Miami Heat, winning 2 NBA titles during his tenure there. So EJ, we're going to start with you on this one. Does Shumpert have a point?
No, 100%, man. I mean, were there super teams before LeBron? Yes, there were, right? I mean, over time, Lakers. You think about even the Jordan's team. I think they're considered a super team. And even the Houston Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon. There were some pretty good super teams before LeBron, but the way that they were put together was so different, right? Like it was always based off of trades or decisions made from the GMs. So LeBron changed the scope of that by him making the decision to go where he wanted to play. And that was to team up with Dwayne Wade, who had recently won a championship. LeBron, during that time, he had just recently taken the Cavaliers all the way to the finals, but came up short, realized he couldn't do it on his own because he was literally alone with the Cavaliers when he brought them to the championship. But was like, hey, man, look, we have the power in our hands. It's not only to the GMs. We can decide where we want to go. And imagine the face of the NBA or one of the rising names of the NBA during that time, LeBron James, to join another rising name in Dwayne Wade. That was a huge deal. And I think that Kevin Durant just followed suit. And now if you look at it, players are deciding to, not even play a single second, like Ben Simmons, who thinks he's a superstar, but I don't think he has that type of caliber, obviously is proven. But it just shows that, you know what, LeBron made the first domino fall to tell the players, look, we decide where we want to play. We're the ones earning this money, and we should be the ones deciding where we want to play. And all the power is really in our hands.
Totally. And, the common theme, especially with Kevin Durant, is that he gets a lot of pushback saying, hey, those rings are tainted. Those rings don't count because he's playing with like 2 of the greatest shooters of all time. I mean, it keeps going on and on and on. So Ken, I mean, do you think LeBron, do you think his rings are discounted because he was on a quote unquote super team?
No. Well, because what is the definition of a great player, of a GOAT, right? Which is what LeBron, ever since even before he came into the league, aspires to be is GOAT, right? And in order to be in that conversation, you have to have what? Rings, chips. And that was what he lacked at the time, right? I mean, EJ said it. He said he carried that entire Cavs team, which had a second best player, which was, what's his name? Boobie Gibson,
Wally Zerbiak,
or Danielle Marshall, right? I mean, just like a horrible, like ragtag, like team that like it just really showed that their management wasn't willing to invest. And if you're a player as large and as impactful as LeBron, like there comes a point where you're just like, look, if the team's not going to take care of me, I got to take care of myself. And he saw that it worked with Boston just a couple years back when they put together Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and to join with Paul Pierce. And, that's a super team. And before that, it was the Lakers with Karl Malone and Gary Payton, but those guys were at the end of their hill, right? So that wasn't necessarily like...
That was a mess.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily like, the best of the best at the time. And, around the same time that LeBron went and got with, a little after that was... Kobe with Dwight and Steve Nash, but Steve Nash was also at the end of his rope, right? So, I mean, it's not a new thing, but I mean, LeBron was literally the best player in the world, teaming up with Dwayne, who's like, near the, still at his prime, sort of, and then Chris Bosh at his prime. And so that made, I think the only thing that I really knock on that was that weird interview that he did with the Boys and Girls Club, and the decision. I think that's what really rubbed people off the wrong way. But as far as what defines a champion, it has to be, or not even a champion, like a GOAT, or it's the number of rings, and you can't fault a guy for chasing rings, and it was a lot of hubris, yes, when they did that opening celebration, right, where like not one, not two, not three, and then they lose straight. They lose Game 7 to Dirk's Mavs, right? That first year, and so that was I think a great humble pie for LeBron. But speaking of like the whole concept, the bigger villain in this, I think, has to be KD, Kevin Durant, joining a team that just went 73-9. Was that the right record? Yeah, literally had the best record ever for a regular season. Yeah, they didn't finish, but then to join that team that was already loaded to the top, it's just overkill. I like KD as a player, but like that really took a lot of respect out of his name. Yeah, you got your rings, but like, and
MVPs.
Look, he was going to get those MVPs no matter what. That's the thing. He got his MVP when he was still with OKC with Russ. But like, it was just really disappointing to see. Like, it's one thing if you join like a middle of the pack team, or you like create a completely new team, but that team was a proven champion already, and you just like overkilled it, and that was really off-putting for me. So it like, I didn't like LeBron until he joined the Lakers, but I really didn't like KD at all those years. And it might be it might be like a little bit of quote unquote karma, like what's happening with him and the
there you go.
Kyrie Irving situation in New Jersey right now, and in Brooklyn. Sorry, because that's technically a super team, but like Kyrie's nowhere to be found. Literally got the green light to play again, and then the next day is on COVID protocol, right? Completely different story, but like that just goes to show that like not all super teams, even when formed, are going to be able to win you a chip.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it'd be one thing if LeBron was like the third best player and he just like piggybacked and got rings, but he was by far the best player even when he went to Miami and won finals MVPs and things like that. So, PJ, I wanted to get your thoughts about, what Shumpert said, your reaction to that, and also, once everything is all said and done, once the dust settles, once LeBron finally retires, do you think this will stain his legacy?
So going to like what Iman said, I don't fully agree. For me, it was more so, Ken and EJ kind of alluded to it earlier. There were guys prior to LeBron who made the move. For example, you think about Shaq, who kind of forced his way out of Orlando to join, team up with the Lakers. You have guys like T-Mac, who left Toronto to come play for Orlando and then eventually moved his way to Houston. And even his cousin, Vince Carter, who was the second coming of Michael Jordan, but left Toronto to come play for New Jersey. You have a lot of these big names in the early 2000s and even in the late 90s who made the move, but they didn't get catch the heat that LeBron caught. And I think the reason why LeBron caught the heat that he did is exactly what Ken said. It's because the way he did it, right? He had the whole like the decision and everything like that on ESPN. And I think that's what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Let me just, in terms of his career and everything that has to do with LeBron James, I'm just going to preempt it like this. To me, in my own personal opinion, Michael Jordan will forever be the GOAT. I say that because a lot of people think that I'm a LeBron hater. I'm not a LeBron hater, because what I firmly believe is at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, LeBron James is going to be the best to ever do it. Not necessarily the GOAT, but he will be the best to ever do it. Stats-wise, points, steals, rebounds, assists, the whole 9 yards. But I feel like what LeBron did bring about was paving that way for kind of like the voiceless player. You know, LeBron was the king of the NBA, and he made this huge decision to team up with his best friend, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, who had just gotten there. So a lot of people were kind of hating on LeBron for that, but now you kind of open up the door. And for me, in my own opinion, I feel like this kind of makes the NBA a little bit more exciting. Like, could you imagine if, like, for example, I know there's always these trade rumors going on with like Dame Lillard. Now, Dame Lillard, he very well like might end up staying in Portland for the entirety of his career. But when you have a player like that who has so much to give, so much to offer, as a fan, you kind of want to see him, like, could he play and like thrive in New York? He would be the king of New York. You have other guys, like, no offense to EJ and Ken, but like, well, mainly EJ. You got Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is always in the conversation about trades. Does he want to stay? Does he want to go? Obviously, I would love to see Bradley Beal stay. I would love to see Dame Lillard stay. But at the end of the day, as a fan of the NBA, when it first happened, when LeBron made the decision, nobody liked it. But now, for people who are in like sports media, the whole 9 yards, it kind of gives you a little something extra to talk about. You have people on the move all the time. Kawhi Leonard, you know, 2 different teams, 3 different teams in 2 years, and in one of those years winning a championship. When have you ever seen that before in the past, in like recent years? Like, you don't really see that too often, especially with like major stars. So for me, I don't think it really tarnishes LeBron's career or his accolades. He's still going to go down as the best player to ever do it. And I think it's just one of those things where coming to Miami, he needed to get like his feet wet, so to speak, to kind of get a taste of it. Went back to Cleveland, won one for Cleveland, won another one for LA. So, I mean, it's from a fan standpoint, I love it. You know, it was great to see. More power to him.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for the takes, guys. We're going to go ahead and move quickly to our next one. We're going to stay with the NBA. Talk about Ken and Ken's Lakers, actually. They're struggling quite mightily right now. 2 blowout losses the past 2 games at home, and they have just been struggling like crazy. They're currently 16 and 17, which puts them at 6th seed in the West. So, Ken, you're the biggest Laker fan here, obviously. Are they going to make the playoffs?
You know, that's a tough question, right? AD, Anthony Davis, is out for a minimum a month, right, before he starts his basketball activities, right, once again. And this team is just, I mean, like a lot of teams, it's hampered with a lot of the COVID protocol situation, right? And and that's where I think it's difficult, yes, but at the same time too, the other teams are also experiencing the same problem. So if you look at this list, I mean, the Grizzlies, I don't know how long they can sustain this. They're 4th right now. Clippers, I mean, right? Mavs, Luka's in and out of the lineup, and that team's also hampered with COVID. The Nuggets, who are 8th right now, don't have Murray and won't have MPJ for the rest of the year. And then I don't have faith in the T-Wolves at all, especially coming into the playoffs. The Spurs are the ones that are going to be, a danger. And obviously the Blazers and the Kings at 11 and 12, I don't think are going to be a threat. So I think a lot of this is going to be depending on the health of the other teams also. But it doesn't help that this team right now, as constructed, is not a championship team. Are they a playoff team? Yes. So just to answer your question, yes, I believe they'll make the playoffs. But will they make a chip? Will they win a chip with this specific lineup? They picked up, the ghost of Darren Collison today. But is that going to do anything? And Stanley Johnson, I don't know. But I'm just really, it's just honest. Like, here's what I can say as a fan. It is tough watching this team. It is not pleasant. There is a meme every single day of every single time they play, some crazy meme. The last one of this last game is the LeBron 1-on-5. And that was pretty much what it was. I mean, he's pretty much playing 1 versus 5 every single night, and it's just disgusting to me to see that. This is the last thing I'll say. This is very eerily similar to what Kobe had to do 2012 when Dwight was coming off a back injury and Steve Nash was at his last leg literally, and then gets injured right at the playoffs, right before the playoffs. This is eerily similar because LeBron is carrying way too much of a load this late in his career.
Absolutely. So we have about 45 seconds. PJ, just give us a quick prediction on where you think the Lakers will seed at the end of the season.
I could see them in that play-in series, possibly even a little bit higher, but for sure in the play-in series. I don't think they're going to make too much noise after that. I just feel like the top of the West is just too stacked. 1 through 9, you look at the Golden State Warriors, they have a solid, rotation of 9 guys. Same thing with Phoenix, they have depth. Aside from that, I don't think the Lakers can do too much.
Gotcha, totally. And EJ, how about you, my man?
Yeah, no, man. The only point I wanted to say was the Eastern Conference is actually looking a lot more competitive than the West. If you look at right now at the 10th spot, it's 13 and 18, San Antonio Spurs. That means anybody can make the playoffs in the West. It's actually the East that they're going to have to be battling. So I don't think it's a worry that the Lakers will make the play-in tournament at least, because the West is just so atrocious right now.
Yeah, let's hope they avoid that 7 or 8 seed because playing Golden State or Phoenix in the first round, whoo, man.
Same as last year.
But anyways, thanks for your takes, guys. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to talk NFL when we come back. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
Quezon Province is home of the most beautiful islands in the Philippines. At isa na rito ang Town of Pagbilao. Kaya tara, ating pasyalan! Kilalang-kilala ang Pagbilao sa ganda ng mga white sand beaches, island hopping destinations, sandbars, ecotourism sites, falls, caves, island resorts, at mga katakam-takam nilang mga pagkain. Ang sarap! Kaya ko to! Kaya ko to! Wow na wow ang Pagbilao! Kaya tara, ating pasyalan! Saturday at 5:30 p.m. dito lang sa Net25.
Reklamo na napakataas sa singil sa kuryente sa isang bahay sa Taytay, Rizal, inimbestigahan. Water lily at sangkaterbang basura sa ilog sa Muntinlupa, pinahakot ng responde. Mga asong gala na nakakaperwisyo na raw sa mga residente, sinagip. Tulong ng isang grupo para sa mga batang hindi makapagbasa, ating kilalanin. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So as we talked about at the top of the show, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have sustained many injuries, causing Chris Godwin to end the season and running back Leonard Fournette to miss several games. Also, wide receiver Antonio Brown has missed several games, but now he is back and will be active for this coming Sunday's game. And also Mike Evans, starting wide receiver, has caught the injury bug. PJ, we'll start with you on this one. What do these injuries mean for the Bucs' Super Bowl chances?
I mean, obviously it would hinder their chances, especially with how well Green Bay's been playing lately. I just feel like the NFC in general is just a lot more tough than the AFC. But one thing that I've learned in all my years of following football, you can't count TB12 out.
Oh,
There's no way.
Music to
Tom Brady is hands down the GOAT, will forever be the GOAT. when you think about what he's done in the past with like the Patriots, all these different little pieces that people you may not have even heard of, but all of a sudden they're racking up touchdowns, yards, receptions, the whole 9 yards. When you think about it, like you had guys when he played for the Patriots, like Wes Welker, who eventually moved on, made a name for himself in Miami. You have guys like Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman or Chris Hogan. These guys that you were not really big names coming out. When you think about it, does anybody know where Danny Amendola ended up? Does anybody know where Chris Hogan is? You know, like most people only remember them because of Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, even though you have like these major injuries to like Mike Evans, to Fournette, and even to Godwin, you still have guys like Gronk, you have Brate, you have Jones in the back, you know, you have who else? You have Scotty Miller, you know, who's a deep threat from time to time. And there's a possibility that you can get Fournette back, you know, before, you know, the playoff starts. So I feel like they still have pieces to get the job done. It's going to be a lot harder, but I'm not doubting TB12. Not at all.
Oh, yes. I love the sound of that. PJ, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. EJ, what are your thoughts on the injuries and what does this mean for the Bucs during the playoffs?
Yeah, obviously you can't count out Tom Brady, right? But dude, this is very concerning. Chris Godwin was Brady's number one option this year, man. He leads the receivers in total targets, total receptions, total receiving yards. And they have an onslaught of weapons, man, on the offensive end for Tom Brady. But Chris Godwin was his guy. Then you have hamstring injuries for Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette, which I think is a huge deal. Hamstring injuries are tough to come back from because athletes know you could easily tweak that thing. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus right now. Ken might remember this. We had a track and field event here like a little bit last year. I tweaked my hamstring and I couldn't play basketball like the same for like months, man. Like once I tried to sprint just once, I tweak it again. And so it's a lingering injury that is really hard to come back from. And especially this deep in the season, right? Lost to the Saints 9-0. Tom Brady got shut out for the first time in a decade and a half. That's concerning. And again, let's go back to the losses that they have racked up. Their last 3 losses was against the Saints before the bye. Then they go into the bye. Then they lose to my Washington football team. Thank you very much. But then they lose again to the Saints. It's bad because we know that during this time of the season, the hotter teams coming into the playoff are the most dangerous. And I think some of the flames that the Bucs were holding in the early part of the season is starting to die out. So Tom Brady and the Bucs, they're in some big trouble at this point in the season. And heading into the playoffs, not knowing who will be available. You know, Leonard Fournette might be available, but you don't really know. And you know, all the stuff that Antonio Brown brings to the table, you never know when he's going to be available. I mean, it's been like that for seasons after seasons. So I think it's a big deal, and it's going to cause some huge trouble for them trying to repeat as champions this season.
Yeah, and it's a good take, EJ. And to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, you mentioned earlier, usually it's the hottest team that has success in the playoffs. I would say also the healthiest team. I mean, if you look at last year, I mean, the Bucs virtually had no major injuries, and they were able to just roll through the playoffs in their defense, you know, turn on the switch, and we all know what happened in the Super Bowl. Ken, coming to you, what do you think the chances are that TB12 wins his 8th ring with all this happening right now?
I mean, it's kind of like the same answer that I have for LeBron's or the Lakers making the playoffs, right? It's all, a lot of it is dependent on the health of the other teams. You know, you can't control who you play, and at least for the rest of the regular season, I mean, they're probably going to lock up this division Sunday against the Panthers. Because you know, they're 10-4 right now, right? Saints are 7-7. So they got Panthers, Jets, Panthers closing out the season. So this is probably an easy run for them. And you know, if they need to rest up, you know, some of their ailing players, this might maybe not this week, but definitely next week against the Jets, you could probably rest a majority of your players. get them right to get into the playoffs. But I mean, you know, everyone does it at this point of the year when, you know, Tom Brady has a little bit of a lull because he has his old legs. But, you know, just like LeBron in the playoffs, it's just hard to, you know, knock them off until they're out, because they just have that championship blood. They have that, you know, GOAT mentality. And, you know, even with a bunch of like guys they pick up off the street, I won't count off Tom Brady just because he's just done it so much and just knows how to win. I mean, a regular season game is whatever. Yeah, he got skunked out last week against the Saints, but the Saints somehow have a number against them for some reason. And that was actually the first game, I think, in 255 games that he did not score. I think Drew Brees is like the league leader like of all time. I think 305 or something crazy like that. So no one's going to catch that anytime soon. But you know, it's one of those things where you just can't count out Tom Brady. He's literally the GOAT for a reason. He's a playing GOAT, and that is crazy to say. You just don't know when this guy is gonna. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with how good their defense is. I mean, like their defense can keep Brady in games. Yeah, he got skunked out last week, but they only had 9 points. The Saints. So I mean, even if Tom does like the minimum, if his defense is on point, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I think let's hope that they do play the Saints in the playoffs, because remember last year they get blown out.
Yep, exactly that.
Saints.
Yep, you're right.
Playoffs come and they just steamroll them. So we'll see what happens with that. But we're gonna go ahead and shift gears a little bit. We'll stay with the NFL, but there's a couple of games that's coming week 16 that are pretty pivotal. So we're gonna break down two of them. The first one is Green Bay Packers against the Cleveland Browns. EJ, share with us your thoughts and your predictions for the game.
Easy choice here, and I think it's going to be an easy W for the Packers, man. As we know, or may not know, Cleveland got hit pretty big with that COVID outbreak recently. They led the league in the amount of players that they had to put on the IR list due to COVID this past week. With that being said, Baker Mayfield is iffy to come back before or for this game. But even if he does, he hasn't been impressive this season, man. The last time Baker Mayfield threw for over 215 yards was back in week 5. And we know that on the other side of the football, where Aaron Rodgers stands, that guy is known to throw the ball and do it effectively, right? So, I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers has had a very impressive season. And just going back to the offseason, thinking that we don't even know if he's going to play. And then he comes over here and now he's the front runner for MVP. The Packers are rolling. So I don't think that Cleveland really has a chance, most especially if they're still hit with the COVID bug. I think their head coach might not even be available for the game. So we'll just have to see what kind of squad that the Browns can put together. But it's going to be an easy W for the Packers, in my opinion.
Ken, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'll make it quick. Look, the Browns just played on Monday, and they're playing tomorrow. So that's like what, 5 days rest? That's absolutely nothing, especially for like as EJ mentioned, a COVID ridden team. And it's just I just don't see a way for them to win, especially with Baker missing so much time and then trying to come back. I have been very disappointed in his play, but just like how the Bucs have great defense, the Browns also have great defense. That's their saving grace, and I just feel that that's the only way that they can potentially win is with their defense. But I mean, the spread is supposedly 7 points for Green Bay. I think that's way too small. Let's say 17. It should be the spread, because I just don't see these guys, Cleveland, coming in with even enough energy and rest to put on a fight.
PJ?
I totally agree. The cliche goes, the best ability is availability, which the Browns don't really have at the moment. And on top of that, you have Aaron Rodgers playing at an MVP level. They're just the significantly more healthy team. I don't remember the last time the Packers lost this season. I know it was early on in the season. So I have Green Bay winning, and I think they're going to win pretty big.
I love the sound of that because, fantasy football playoffs start in my league, and I have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So
I hate our league, Mike. I can't believe it. Right when Derrick Henry got hurt, I was like, well, there goes my season.
Yeah. Well, that's fantasy football. So moving on to the next game, we have the Bills versus the Patriots. We all know what happened in the first game. We had incredible, just inclement weather all over the place, and the Patriots ran the ball unprecedentedly 46 times and only throwing the ball 3 times, yet they still won. So Ken, we'll start with you on this one. Who wins this rematch?
I have to say back-to-back Patriots. I mean, Patriots are doing so well right now. They are my mystery team. I've been a little bit disappointed with Buffalo's performance throughout the season. I mean, they came in as, a team to be reckoned with, like the spooky Buffalo Bills, but it has just not been the case as far as their execution. They had a lot of winnable games that they threw away, and that be one of them being that last game versus the Patriots. And if there's something that the Patriots continue to do, it's game plan very well. And the fact that they had that crazy strategy of just a run. I think they just do an amazing job of preparing for, this for bad weather, just because they're used to bad weather. And I think, it's going to be more of the same this coming. It may not be as many, but I think Bill just has that. He himself has GOAT mentality as a coach. To be able to utilize the most of his lineup. I think it's going to be 2-0.
Absolutely. PJ, how about you, man? Who wins this matchup?
I agree. I think it's going to be the Patriots. In a game of chess, you're going up against the chess master. Bill Belichick kind of has the Bills' number here. The way that they beat them last time, and then coming into it this time, that Bill Belichick is going to have something for the Bills. And it's kind of sad because last year I had the Bills going to the Super Bowl, hopefully playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but that ended up not happening. I thought they could be able to do it this year, but clearly, early injuries injuries early on in the season kind of hindered that. Also, I just feel like they're not the same talent level that they were last year. Outside of Stephon Diggs, who else can you name that's going to be an X factor in any given game, aside from like Beasley or something like that? I feel like the lack of running game. I feel like the Patriots defense, we talk about their offense, but like their defense is crazy right now. They have strong defense. The guys up front, for the running game, they love to run. So I think we're going to see some more running, maybe a few more passing. I think this will be kind of like Mac Jones's breakout game, so to speak, against the Buffalo Bills. So I have Patriots
4 throws this time, PJ. 4 throws.
4 throws.
Very interesting stuff. EJ, who wins this one, Bills or Pats?
Man, so I guess I'm the only one siding with the Bills on this one, man. I think the Bills got this one circled, bro. Especially after that tough loss in Week 13, where they're going to run the ball and you can't stop them, right? But I think in that case, it was just such bad weather circumstances that the Bills weren't able to play their game. And actually, Josh Allen obviously outplayed Mac Jones there, where obviously Mac Jones only had 3 throws, but Josh Allen looked pretty good. And if it weren't for that one run down the middle in the first quarter that the Bills got lucky on, I think the Bills could have won that game. So with that being said, I think Josh Allen just needs better protection because he got sacked twice in the last contest, hit 4 times, and then last week he got sacked 4 times with 6 QB hits. So, I mean, there's obviously some stuff that the Bills need to work on, but I don't think the Bills allow that the Pats get them twice in the same season, especially within a game of this importance, a must win for them. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen and the Bills for this one, but I am a fan of what Bill Belichick and Mac Jones have done this season. It's been spectacular.
Totally. I'm going to go with EJ here. I think the Bills should have easily won that first game. I mean, they had 2 field goals that they could have easily kicked, but because of the wind conditions, they couldn't kick it. So, I mean, they would have won that game. So I'm going with the Bills on that one. But thanks for your takes, guys. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk Tiger Woods. We'll be back in a moment.
Mula sa ugat nito hanggang sa mga dahon ay wala raw tapon.
Yung coconut po ay readily available, hindi siya alagain masyado, kaya alagaan mo siya kaya hindi, mamumunga at mamumunga siya.
And I found out na ang coconut oil ang isa sa pinakamagandang langis na raw material sa paggagawa ng sabon.
This is Mutia Cristina Capapasis, your Mrs. Universe Philippines Mindanao 2021, and I am ready to do the Coconut Exercise Challenge.
Dahil sa coconut, posible ang pag-angat. Ako po, si Robin Padilla. At ito po ang ulat. Kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
Sa hanap buhay.
4. Miss Auditor, spell the word despondent.
Despondent. D-E-S-P-O-N-D-E-N-T. Despondent.
Alma Crystal Auditor with honors, 4th place district level.
For the tiebreaker question, how many seconds are there in one day?
Lalong dumami at lumaki ang mga pantal mo, Alma.
Ba't hindi mo ininom yung pantanghali mong gamot? Lahat ng hirap kaya kong tiisin. Pero yun, nakikita ko naghihirap si Alma, parang nadudurog yung puso ko eh.
Nay! Nay!
Ano gagawin ko na?
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson coming at you from Seattle, Washington. So Tiger Woods recently participated in the PNC Championship Tournament in Orlando, Florida this past weekend, where his son Charlie was also his playing partner at the tandem event. Both Tiger and Charlie played very well, nabbing them a second place finish. PJ, we'll start with you. After this impressive performance, do you see Tiger being able to play a PGA Tour event this upcoming season?
Can he play one? Yes. But from my perspective, I feel like, I know he's getting up there in age, but I think he takes really good care of his body. Just let his body like fully heal, come back. I mean, from you know, the sports standpoint, everybody loves a good comeback story. We all know the up and down career of Tiger Woods, the one, you know, couple comebacks he's had. I think this is just going to add another one. My hope is that he takes the time that he needs, comes back. I mean, he's only, what, three majors away from tying Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah.
So 3 more, I mean, he can do it. I mean, you see it now in sports. Tom Brady playing till he's 44, 45. I think Tiger can do the same. You know, he takes good care of his body. So I think it is possible. It is possible.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just seeing him play this past weekend, like I was shocked that he was still able to drive the ball close to 300 yards. I mean, shattering his leg and, you know, all the back surgeries he's had. I mean, absolutely incredible. Ken, what impressed you the most during that tournament when you, or the highlights that you saw of him playing?
The fact that he was on the field, on the course at all. Like, well, what is this? Like, I think, I mean, like, we've all been stuck inside for, like, you know, 2 years, but, like, does anybody remember that this guy just had this accident February 23 of this year? You know, like, that's insane. You know, most people that have, like, an ACL injury or an Achilles injury are out for a minimum a year. You know, well, ACL is a little shorter now, but like an Achilles is a year plus. This guy shattered, you know, his tibia, fibula, everything. You know, like it's absolutely insane that he, as great as he is, and you know, as amazing of a career as he has had. I mean, the fact that he was out there playing with his son. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, you know, he was inspired and motivated by his boy. You know, both wearing championship red on Sunday, which was awesome. But, you know, I was just extremely surprised to see, I mean, you mentioned it, he looks strong for a guy recovering. And the fact that at the time of his injury in February, he just had another back surgery like 2 months before that, I think in December, then which made it his 5th back surgery. And it's just, you know, the will that this guy has to continue to play despite like his body giving up on him is insane. It's really sad though, because I mean, he's kind of like a what if, right? Because he has the skill, especially in his heyday. Like everyone thought that, okay, this guy is going to be catching, you know, the all of the records like before he turns even 30. And you know, the fact that he got a lot of major career-ending injuries for most people, and the fact that he came back, I think that is the biggest thing, is that the fact that he was on the course, walking around a little bit. I mean, you could tell that he was laboring that leg. You know, I watched some of those clips. He's laboring the leg going from like, you know, hole to hole. But I mean, what can you expect? I mean, it's just amazing. It really is. I don't know what they put in his legs, but man, like, let me get some of that too.
Seriously, man, it's crazy. So, hey, EJ, so let's just say Tiger does decide to play this season. I mean, he said before in the past he's going to play more of an abbreviated schedule, so not as many tournaments as before. Do you feel that he has a good chance to win one of the 4 majors this season if he does come back?
Yes, Tiger can do it, man. Tiger can do it, bro. Like Ken, I was so excited just to see him on the course. And honestly, seeing Charlie out there, bro, I think we got to talk about him because he looks like he has a bright future in golf. The guy's 12, was hitting amazing shots. Now, do I think he can win a major? I believe so. Why? Phil Mickelson was able to do it last year, the oldest to win a major in PGA Tour history. And this is Tiger Woods we're talking about. This guy has come back from so many different things in his life. And just, again, like Ken pointed to, for him to be out on the course was something special to see. I think this was the most televised PGA Tour event this season, was because we were so highly anticipated that Tiger was back on the course, regardless if he wins or not, right? It's just fun to see him on TV. Now, the walking part, that was the big thing because he had to ride a cart the entire tournament, right? I don't think people realize how many miles a golf player walks in 4 days, bro. I mean, Mike, I'm sure I think you've done 36 holes one day. How are your legs the next day, man? It's like, it hurts so bad. But that's probably the biggest thing for Tiger, is that his leg strength might not be there to be able to last walking an entire PGA tournament. And like PJ said, I think he needs to rehab as much as he can before he really considers getting into these tournaments. I think he can win based on Colin Morikawa's style of game. He's not the longest driver. And what this injury has done for Tiger is allow him to work on his short game in his backyard, you know, in his private course, where he's not hitting long drives. He's focusing more on his irons, which has always been his strength anyway. And if he is sharpening that, then he's going to be very dangerous. And he was making some pretty clutch putts as well. Short game and putts are going to be a big thing for tournament winners in the PGA. Colin Morikawa has proven that healthy. And if Tiger Woods, no matter how far he could drive the ball ever again, if he, like you said, if he's driving at 300, it's fine. Because his iron game, his short game, and his putting game has always been top in PGA history. And that's what he's working on because he doesn't have the speed to turn his body for those drives. So he sharpens that. The likelihood of him winning a major, maybe not this upcoming season, but in the future, and catching Jack Nicklaus, like PJ said, very, very, very possible.
Yeah, speaking of, you know, the viewership, they said the U.S. Open, which was the highest televised, was 2.2 million viewers. This was the PNC, it was 2.4 million. So
right,
just to show you what the Woods
Tiger,
draw,
man.
TV draw is crazy. So, man, I'm super excited as well. So we'll see what happens. But let's move on to our question of the week. So injuries have plagued the NFL like crazy so far this year. So it's only appropriate to have it relate to our question of the week. So I want to ask you guys, which athlete's injury was the most devastating for you? So I'll start. We just talked about him, Tiger Woods, the accident. That just shook me up because at first we just didn't know what happened. And the first thought was like, man, is he ever going to be able to play again? And obviously he's back. So I would say that one. PJ, what was the biggest injury for you?
Okay, so I have two. I'll get through them really quick. The first one was Alex Smith. Growing up, I was a San Francisco 49ers fan. Alex Smith was considered a bust, after his first few years in the league. And like I mentioned earlier, everybody loves a good comeback story. And there was a point in time in SF where, he was on route to bring them to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, another injury occurred and Colin Kaepernick took his place. Then he got shipped to KC. KC ended up shipping him to Washington, where eventually he got injured. But it was just one of those things where it was a big what if. He was coming back. He was making great plays. He was playing really well at the top of his game, making some big noise in the NFC. And then all of a sudden, once he gets to Washington, he has that devastating leg injury. I mean, we saw him come back. He played a season. He played last year. It was great to see him do that. It was really brave of him. I give him much props. The other one, Ken might like this one. For me, I'm a big Miami Heat fan. NBA bubble 2020, NBA finals. I just think if Goran Dragic was not injured in the previous round, maybe it would have been a little bit closer. Maybe just a little bit closer. Because Goran was the leading scorer for the Miami Heat coming into the NBA finals. And I'm like, you don't have your floor spacer, the guy that can get you buckets off the dribble, off the pick and roll. So I feel like if he was a little bit healthier, it might have been a little bit different.
No one was stopping AD. Sorry. I'm sorry.
EJ, your turn.
What's up? Real quick was just Paul George's leg injury. It was just so gruesome. It made me rethink of playing basketball for a second.
Oh, man. Ken, how about you, my man?
Similar, Sean Livingston. That injury was absolutely horrific. Ugh. And the thing is, comeback story. Like he proven champion.
Yeah, played really, really well. Well, hey, thanks guys for joining on the panel today. And thank you, viewers, for joining us on this episode of EBC Sports International. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com and watch us on net25.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Eddie Reigns.
Oh, get that out of here.